What is up guys? In this video I'm going to be showing you how we can create this bottom navigation bar, and it's a custom bottom navigation bar, so it's very simple and very easy for getting started with React Native. But initially we're going to have this text that says press a button, and when we click on one it's going to update the text to the appropriate tab. And of course you can implement whatever page you want there or whatever you want to change the content to. I'm just going to be showing you how we can set the bottom navigation bar so that you could add your own methods and make it look like this. We're also going to be going over how we can import the material design labels so that you can have all of these icons so you can easily make your own app with icons. So the first thing we want to do is go ahead and open up npm, and all you need to do is search for the React Native ICO material design import, which is going to look like this. I will leave a link in the description so you can just go there if you want. And we're going to scroll down and see how to implement it. As you can see, we just need to import icon from this over here. But the first thing we have to do, of course, is install this package in case you do not have it. So just find the appropriate way to install it. Most likely you have npm like me, otherwise there is yarn and the other ones, of course. But let's go ahead and open up terminal in the sample project. And first, of course, make sure in your terminal you are inside the project you're working on. Then on Mac, you go ahead and type in sudo to run as an administrator. If you're on Windows, find a different way to run as administrator. It's just the safest bet to make sure that you can install something. I'm going to enter my password and wait for it to install. Perfect, and as soon as that is done, you should get this message that says we have successfully added these packages. Now let's move on to step number 2, which is to import it to our project. So just go ahead and copy this part right here and place it inside here. It's going to import the icon from React Native ICO material design. And while we're still in the imports, let's also go ahead and import the Pressable, which is a kind of button or a kind of layer that makes anything turn into a button, much more customizable than the button. Now let's clear the console and type in Expo start Android localhost. You can also, of course, go ahead and type in Expo start and just scan the barcode. All right, perfect. So as soon as our app is running, let's go back to the documentation, and we are just going to test it out by adding one of these icons. So just copy any one of these and go inside your return block and add it right under the text. Then click on save and see if anything happens. And there we go. I actually went ahead and refreshed my app. As you can see, we have an icon here, which means our dependency is working perfectly. Now we have the icons that we can work with, and we can create our bottom navigation bar. So let's go ahead and close the terminal. And the first thing we're going to do is remove the icon, and we are going to create 2 global variables right outside of our app. And the first one's going to be called the icon height, which is going to equal 26. And then we should create the icon width, which will also equal 26. And we also want to change this into a class because we will be using the state to change the center text. So we'll go ahead and type in export default class app, which will extend the react.component. And the one required method, of course, is the render. So create that and insert your return block inside here. Then we will just click on save to make sure that the app still runs, and it's going to show us exactly what we had earlier without the icon. So everything's working perfectly. And let's go ahead and create a state. So state is going to equal curly brackets, and we're going to call it screen text because that's the text that will be inside the center of the screen. So that's going to be press a button. And right below that, we're going to go ahead and create a function called change text, which is going to take as a parameter some text. And what we want to do first is log what text has been pressed, because this will tell us if the button we're pressing on is the button we've decided to press on. So text plus has been pressed. Then we also want to set the state. So this.setState, inside here some curly brackets, and we're going to pick our screen text and set the text as the value. Inside our return block, we're going to go ahead and create another view because this will contain the first elements, which is the page we want to display when we click on a button. So we'll just put that inside this view, and we're going to set the style to light. And we are going to set the text to this.state screen text. So when we rerun the program, you're going to notice it's going to say press a button, just as we have defined it up here. But the text is quite small, so let's change that. And to do that, we will create an inline style. So equals 2 curly brackets. And first we want to change the font size to 30. And we're going to have the color set to white because we're going to change the background color to something a bit darker. And let's go to our style sheet and change this to something that's dark so we can see the change immediately. So 3962FF, which should be a blue. So far so good. We have some bigger text. We have the status bar, which is now in light mode so we can see it. And the first part of the app is done. Now inside here, we have to go ahead and create a second view. And this is going to hold our navigation bar. And the first one is going to take a style, which is going to equal styles.navContainer. And let's go ahead and create this nav container. So nav container is first going to take a position, which is going to be set to absolute because we want it to be at the bottom of the screen at all times, regardless of what it is in relation to what. Since it is an overlay, we want it to remain absolute. Then we're going to align the items to the center. And we also want to give it a bottom margin of 20. Then inside this view, we have to create a second view, and this is going to hold the actual nav bar. So we'll do that and provide a style as well, which is going to be called styles.navbar. So we will add a comma here and create it immediately, navbar. And the first thing we want to do is give it a flex direction of row because we want the items inside to be aligned left to right instead of from up to down. Then we'll give it a background color, which is going to be a sort of gray. So #EEE. We want the width to be set to 90% so that it grows and shrinks with the screen. It's really good for different font sizes. That's why I put a percentage. And we're going to call justify content and space evenly. So each icon is going to be spaced the same amount of distance from each other. And a border radius, which of course just gives us a round edge on the bar. And I'm actually going to add one more down here, which is called icon behave, which will stand for icon behavior. Inside here, we're just going to go ahead and add some padding, which will just be set to 14. And you'll see what we will use this for later. Now let's go back to our render method and continue inside our second view. So as I mentioned earlier, we have to go ahead and create a pressable, and it's going to have a close tab. And the first thing we have to provide in here is the onPress method. So onPress is going to equal some curly brackets, followed by an empty pair of parentheses, which will be a lambda function, which will lead to this dot change text. And the first one we want to provide is favorites. Then we should go ahead and provide the style, which is going to equal styles dot icon behave. And the reason I created a whole variable for this one is because now if we want to change anything that has to do with the icon, we can go back and just edit this behavior over here. And this should be a closing tag. Perfect. Now let's go ahead and click on save just to make sure that everything loads. And as you can see, we have an empty bar down here at the bottom. Now still remaining inside this pressable, we're going to go ahead and add an Android ripple so that we can have this kind of tap effect when we click on Android phones that shows that we're actually clicking on the item. And that's going to equal 2 pairs of curly brackets. And the first parameter we have to provide is borderless. Followed by a radius, which will be set to 50. And finally, we can go inside and provide an icon. So icon name is going to equal, first it's going to be favorite dash heart dash button. And we're going to provide a closing tag, followed by the height is going to equal the icon height. And the width is going to be set to the icon width. And you can of course go ahead and pick a color of your choice. You can pick red, you can pick black, whatever color you prefer. For this example, I'm going to use a material color. So I'm just going to copy that and paste it inside here. 448AFF, and it's going to look like this. So when we go ahead and save, you're going to notice a small heart appear in our bar, and it's perfectly centered. And the good news is, no matter how many icons you add, it's always going to be centered in this bar. So now we can safely go ahead and copy and paste this. We can go like that. We can save the program once again. And now you'll notice 2 hearts. And very quickly, I need to mention how I got this name for the icon, because of course it's going to be confusing if you do not know about that. And on the page that I showed you earlier, there is a list of material design icons. So you just go here And as soon as the page loads, you're going to notice a lot of icons that you can use for your project. You just need to copy the name and insert it where it says name. So for the second one, we're going to change this to chat, and we're going to change the icon name to chat bubble and give it a different blue color. And also very quickly, I'm going to go ahead and open the terminal. Now let's try to click on these buttons. So far, if we click on favorites, favorites will be triggered. Otherwise, if we click on chat, chat will be triggered. And as you can see in the console, it works perfectly. So it's good that the log works and that this actually updates. And let's go ahead and add the final 2 buttons. Or you can even add more than that, but I'm just going to stick to 4 to keep it simple. So we'll go ahead and paste that twice. We're going to change this to user, change the color to this over here, and change the name to user shape. And the final one is going to be called settings, which will be set to a very dark blue like that. And the text for that is quite long, so I'm just going to paste that in. It's settings-cogwheel-button. And when we click on save, you're going to notice we will have now 4 icons, and we can click on all of them, and it's going to change the text. Or of course you can insert whatever on-press method you want inside here, but that pretty much covers how to create a very basic bottom nav bar in React Native. And just to show you that we can add one more if we want, just go ahead and do that, copy and paste. We can change this to, let's pick something random, such as a car front, and paste it inside here. And change this to black, car. Now you'll notice we have 5 icons, and when we click on the car, it's going to say car, settings, user, chat, and favorites. And all of them will have that neat ripple effect when we click on them. But with that being said, I believe we covered everything that we had to create this very minimalistic nav bar. If you have any questions, comments, or recommendations, feel free to leave it in the comment section down below, and I'll do my best to look at them. Otherwise, with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video.